Tilea's Troubles, Part 116. Pavona's Hero. Summer 2401. The city of Pavona. The sound of drums could be heard, growing louder. Giovacchino leaned forward to look through the crowd between him and the street. When the strong ale in his pot sloshed and threatened to spill, he relaxed a little and turned to his companion.
"This is lunacy," he announced. "There's a new war brewing, right on our very doorstep, what with the bloody Verezans thinking they're strong enough to take us on. Even if they're wrong, they might be bitter enough to try anyway. Yet Lord Silvano is taking almost the entire army away on another foreign war. We should finish off the Verezans first, put an end to their pathetic whining and posturing once and for all."
Corporal Aldous was also peering down the street, and answered without glancing at his friend.
"Why don't you take the matter up with the Duke?"
"I'm taking the matter up with you," said Giovacchino. "Look, see, I know this is what Lord Silvano does, always riding off to fight the monsters, but there's a time and a place for that sort of nonsense. This ain't the right time, and Campagrotta's too far away to be the right place. I mean, do the Campagrottans even need our help? They're an entire bloody army of their own, and that the god's-forsaken Compagnia del Sole, cousins of the very enemy that put us to all that trouble years ago. Why in all hells are we sending our boys to do their fighting for them? I tell you, there's no part of this makes sense."
A company of drummers, being the first in the column, were now passing by, beating up a jaunty march indeed, which was everything to do with this sort of parade and nothing to do with battle calls.
"So, let me get this straight," said the corporal. "You're questioning the Duke's orders, yes? Well, my advice to you, my friend, is that you should think hard about what you say and who you say it to."
No, I'm no fool," replied Giovacchino. "I'm not saying the Duke is wrong. I just want to understand it myself."
"Look, the Duke's a hard man. A noble man, yes, but still a man of war. He takes whatever he believes is his by right. He doesn't suffer fools, and exacts swift vengeance on all who trouble him in any way whatsoever. And yet, all that said, what father would deny his only beloved son?"
"Aye, well, that only shifts the blame to the son. Doesn't make the decision any less wrong."
Corporal Aldous fixed his stare on Giovacchino.
"You're really not listening, are you? I already warned you. Have a care. There are many here would take offence to such words. I shall assume you're trying to understand why Lord Silvano wants to go."
"That's it, that's all," Giovacchino reassured his friend. "So, why is he going?"
"That's easy. Lord Silvano is what you call a hero. Always has been. I reckon since his brother died fighting Prince Lorenzo, he's been desperate to prove himself a worthy successor in his father's eyes, to show he's afraid of no challenge and willing to face any foe."
"So, you're saying our army is marching off when we're at our weakest, and when our closest neighbours and others besides have a whole bag of bones to pick with us, all because a young lord wants to test his mettle. Maybe he should worry more about being a worthy successor to rule Pavona when his father dies. To do that, he needs to be alive, and there needs to be a Pavona left to rule."
"You can't help yourself, can you? Your mouth will be the end of you one day, if you don't die on the end of an enemy's blade. Stop complaining. We have the city's militia, and I reckon there's many an old soldier would happily muster if it proved necessary. Pavona will survive, and grow strong again. Who cares how loud the Verezan pups yap and howl? Any one of us could take on any three of them."
The drummers had passed by, although the sound they made was still filling the street. Next came the colours, marching together as one company. All were quartered blue and white, with some little extra thing added to each to mark them out on the field, a border, a finial, tassels or some symbol upon the white. Giovacchino sniffed. Then, in a quieter voice, said, "It's not just them, though, is it? The VMC scum have unfinished business with us. They left off their siege only because they were persuaded the undead were the bigger threat. And the Verezans may have been weak in the past, but everyone says they're building an army squarely intent on revenge for Lord Lucha's death. Their petty brigand robbers have already begun the fight, sneaking about in the shadows to pick off our soldiers when they can get away with it without risking a fight, all the while scouting and learning the lay of the land." Corporal Aldous grinned.
"And it's no bad thing Lord Silvano is marching our boys away, because then brigands won't be able to kill him or them."
Giovacchino spoke even quieter than before. "Except we'll be among the few that remain, so it'll be us they're loosing their arrows at." Still cheerful, despite the notion, the corporal said, "I didn't think of that." Now came a body of handgunners, one of which stared over at Aldous and Giovacchino as he passed.
"There's Mariano," said Aldous. "Does he still owe you 16 silvers?"
"Aye. He'd better bloody survive, 'cause I need that money."
"Oh, he'll survive. He's always been careful. Told me once that he never even fired his piece in that fight in the Trentine Hills. When I asked him why, he said it was so he wouldn't have to clean it afterwards."
"That's the wrong sort of careful. The stupid sort," laughed Giovacchino. "Aldous, you say I should be careful of my words, but it seems to me most people ain't at all pleased about the army leaving. The best anyone could say about this crowd is that it's respectful. None would claim even a hint of enthusiasm."
"They're just tired,"
said the corporal, whose head still ached from the old wound.
"Ha!" laughed Giovacchino. "They're tired. They want to try marching all the way to Trantio and back, with only fighting to break the journey. If Lord Silvano has the urge to fight a righteous war, then why isn't he going off to help in the march on Miragliano? The priests are always preaching that we live in Moor's most cherished realm. Shouldn't he, be fighting the undead?"
"Oh, it's too late for that," said Aldous. "Duke Guidobaldo announced in his address that the war against the vampires is all but over. The enemy lost army after army trying to take on the Portamajorans and Remans, and now they've got the VMC against them too. All that's left is their filthy job of cleaning up Miragliano, and I wouldn't waste Pavona lives on such nasty work. I reckon more will die of disease in such a wretched realm than in battle. If that war is over, then Lord Silvano obviously wants to make sure that the Uomini Ratto don't gain an advantage, while the living realms are weakened by the fight against the undead. Verminkind love ruinous places, and the north is one big ruin right now."
"Not just the north," said Giovacchino. "Pavona's no better. All Bouldergut's left us is the city and Scorsese. Mastiano and Trantio are both ruined too. Every realm hereabouts is just about as sickly and broken as the north."
"Then praise the gods that our brave young lord is helping to quash the threat of ratmen before they grow too powerful." As the corporal spoke, he gestured to the street, for Lord Silvano himself, clad in brightly silvered armour and sporting a tall panache crest of blue and white, rode into view, his lance lowered, as if to indicate his intention to advance. By the young lord's side rode his knightly standard-bearer, and behind him rode the city's young nobility, their shields decorated with Moor's fleshless head, crowned as the king of the gods.
"If you have an answer to everything, Aldous, then tell me this. Why didn't the Duke send the Vicomte Cardival with the army, instead of his only son and heir?"
"Oh, that was the plan. The Vicomte had orders to that effect, but then the orders changed. You didn't attend the temple this morning, did you?"
"My head still hurt from last night. Why? Do you think my soul's in need of cleansing?"
"Ha! That and the rest of you."
Giovacchino sniffed at his armpit, spilling some ale as he did so, then cursing.
"What about the temple?" he demanded. "Did you receive divine enlightenment? Because that'd explain all your opinions."
"The priest prayed for Lord Silvano's success," explained Aldous, "then told us how the Duke knew his son possessed a compassionate heart and a desire to serve the lawful gods, more supreme above all, and that he yearned to defend the innocent, weak, the young and the old, from all further upsets. Apparently the Duke even said his son was the better man than he, for where he had always taken rightful anger to bloody conclusion, his son was willing to temper his reactions with a compassionate urge to understand and forgive."
Giovacchino frowned.
"That doesn't sound like the sort of thing the Duke would say."
"Maybe not. That's what the priest told us. And more than that, he said the Duke had vowed to live quiete et pacifice until his son's safe return from victory."
"Oh, lovely,"
said Giovacchino sarcastically.
"Poetry."
Then, more seriously, he asked,
"That doesn't sound like the Duke either. But tell me, is it true? Will the fighting end?"
Aldous shrugged.
"I suppose if the Verezan brigands stop what they're doing, and everyone else leaves us alone for a while, then why not? Besides, the answer's right in front of you. The army's marching off. Say farewell to the young lord and our army."
"Ha!" laughed Giovacchino. "And say hello to some peace and quiet."